What if the next medical breakthrough could change thousands of lives? Welcome to Moving Medicine Forward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on groundbreaking healthcare innovations. I'm your host, Jeremy Schrand, and together with CTI's leading experts, we explore the cutting edge of clinical research transforming patient care. Each episode, we dive deep into the stories behind medical advancements, featuring insights from global therapeutic experts who are literally changing how we understand and treat critical disease. From rare genetic conditions to revolutionary treatment protocols, we're not just discussing research, we're highlighting the human stories driving medical progress. Today, we're thrilled to have our very own Courtney Cordaro, Director, Therapeutic Strategy and Innovation Lead. She joins us for a deep dive into the world of hematology clinical research. Courtney's journey began in human nutrition, but her passion for science and patient care led her to a career where she's making a real impact, advancing treatments and improving outcomes for patients with complex, often life-threatening blood disorders. With hands-on experience in rare disease programs and a keen understanding for the unique challenges in hematology trials, Courtney brings a wealth of knowledge about the intersection of innovation, patient care, and operational excellence. Whether it's navigating the complexities of cell and gene therapies, driving decentralized trial strategies, or building strong partnerships with sites and patients, Courtney's insights are invaluable for anyone interested in the future of clinical research. Let's get started. Welcome to the podcast, Courtney. We're so lucky to have you today.
Thank you for having me on the podcast today.
To start off, can you share a bit about your background and how you became involved in clinical research, particularly in the hematology space?
Sure. So, my background actually started in human nutrition, but I always knew I wanted to work in a space where science and patient care really intersected in a meaningful way. So, I started my career as a CRA at a small biotech company working on a rare disease program. And that's where I really found my passion in working on something bigger than just myself. Clinical research really gave me the opportunity to contribute to a greater cause, advancing treatments, improving patient outcomes, and just being a part of that bridge between scientific discovery and real world impact on patients and their families. My focus in hematology came from seeing the urgent need in this area. Hematologic conditions can be incredibly complex and often life threatening. And the pace of the innovation in this area is just remarkable right now. Whether it's sickle cell disease or blood cancer, there's just so much critical work happening, and I'm really excited to be a part of it, helping to bring new therapies to patients who really truly need them is what keeps me motivated every day.
What are some of those unique challenges you've encountered when managing hematology studies compared to other therapeutic areas?
That's a great question. Hematology studies definitely come with their own unique set of challenges. One of the biggest differences that I've noticed is the complexity of the patient population. Many hematologic conditions are rare or have specific subtypes. So, just identifying and enrolling the patients can be a real challenge. You're often working with smaller sample sizes who may also be very sick or have undergone multiple lines of prior treatment. And another big challenge is the nature of the endpoints and the protocols. In hematology, you're often looking at very nuanced lab values, nuanced response rates, or molecular markers rather than straightforward clinical outcomes. It means that your data collection and your monitoring need to be more precise, and that there's just very little room for error when conducting a clinical trial. The protocols also tend to be more intensive for the patient and the research site. So, for example, there could be more frequent blood draws, more invasive procedures like biopsies, and an overall higher number of on site visits. So, it just adds a level of burden for the patient and their families. In turn, that also means the time commitment for a prospective patient can impact both the recruitment and retention. It really does require a close partnership between the CRO and sites in the clinical trial, and in turn with the sites and the patients and their families, which is probably the most important. From a regulatory perspective, hematology trials, especially in oncology, they're highly scrutinized by regulatory agencies, rightfully so. It's really important for any company looking to enter the hematology space to select a CRO who really is on point with their safety monitoring, because you really want to make sure that you keep a high level of data integrity just because the stakes are so high, especially if you're working on a novel treatment or first in class.
It sounds very, very complex. And you kind of spoke to the role of like a project management with these hematology studies. How do you see that evolving, especially with the rise of decentralized trials and advanced therapies like cell and gene therapy?
Yeah, so that's really a timely question because the role of project management in hematology trials and in reality, all clinical trials, it's evolving rapidly. So, in the context of hematology, where the complexity is already high, the changes are particularly pronounced. You're seeing a lot more cell and gene therapies, bispecific antibodies, precision medicine, etc. So for a project manager, this means protocols with more moving parts like logistics for drug itself, greater regulatory and safety oversight, and the cross functional coordination becomes even more critical because all moving parts like manufacturing, pharmacy, translational labs, et cetera, they really all need to align. You also need a strong risk management framework, which means more detailed milestone planning and more complex vendor and supply chain coordination. But all of that together, plus in parallel, we're seeing a shift towards decentralized elements. This presents us with a really exciting opportunity, but also a challenge. You can really expand your reach to prospective patients using some decentralized technologies like remote visits, home nursing, any kind of digital tool that they can use at home. It's a really nice feature to be able to bring the trial to the patient. On the flip side, these tools have to be considered carefully when fully evaluating the protocol just to determine what can be done remotely versus what has to be done on site. Because again, you really want to make sure that you maintain strong data integrity, but first and foremost, that patient safety is kept front and center. So you really need to make sure you're still seeing your patients face to face just to make sure that we're covering all of our bases, making sure that they stay healthy throughout the trial. As decentralized trials start to become more prevalent, the role and the skill set of the project manager has to adapt too. They'll need to think more strategically, plan for remote feasibility. They'll also need to become more comfortable overall working with remote monitoring platforms, even wearable devices in some cases, and utilizing technologies like e consent, e pro, just to help reduce that patient burden. And overall, the project manager really should remain current on technologies, build cross functional collaboration skills, and gain knowledge in the novel modalities that are out there right now, and just to remain flexible throughout the whole duration of the trial.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the burden getting kind of pulled away from the patients in these trials to like get them actually in the trial and reaching people that you couldn't reach before.
It's a challenging time, but an exciting one for sure.
What strategies have you found most effective in maintaining protocol compliance and data integrity in the hematology trials?
Great question, and one that really speaks to the core of strong clinical trial execution. It really requires a very intentional strategy, especially because these studies are often complex, involve vulnerable patients, and especially because these studies they rely heavily on high frequency data. I really find proactive site engagement and training to be one of the most effective strategies. Visits can often involve invasive procedures that really place a high level of burden on the patient and the site. So, we really have to ensure that sites are trained, that they feel confident and supported throughout the whole study. I've had the most success when we build in ongoing educational touch points, like open forums, webinars, just clear, easy to access reference tools for the sites to have in hand. Another critical piece is early identification of risks and mitigations. Even with a complex protocol, we have to ask how can we make this easier to execute? That should always be one of the first questions we ask when we read through a protocol. Can we clarify any ambiguities? Can we automate certain data checks in the EDC? Or how can we streamline these labs so that the labeling and shipping is on point and there are no missed labs or lost requisitions? The fewer the manual steps, the less room there really is for error. I also put a strong emphasis on collaboration between functional teams. When those groups are in sync, it's a lot easier to identify the protocol deviations earlier. Just making sure that source documentation matches the CRFs and correcting any data in real time will really help ensure we maintain those strong timelines as well. Building strong relationships with sites, it really does go a long way. If a PI and a coordinator feel supported, a sponsor and CRO are far more likely to flag issues earlier on, and ensuring overall alignment with the protocol. I like to say compliance is more than just about systems, it's about people too.
How does CTI's approach to hematology studies differ from other CROs you've worked with or observed in the industry?
This is one question I love answering because I genuinely think CTI takes a distinct and thoughtful approach when it comes to hematology studies. What really sets us apart is the depth of therapeutic experience combined with our operational agility. Hematology is an area where you can't apply a one size fits all model. And from my experience and observation of other industry trials, other CROs try to apply those same frameworks they use in other therapeutic areas, and it just doesn't work. We don't do that here at CTI. Our teams are deeply embedded and truly understand the nuances, whether it's working with rare hematologic malignancies, managing intensive procedures, or just integrating complex biomarkers. Another key difference is how CTI handles our site and patient engagement. This is one area where I truly think it sets us apart. We know sites are often stretched thin, so our approach emphasizes a true partnership, meaning we invest more time upfront in our feasibility process. We customize our communication tools, and we also provide ongoing support, just rather than relying on standard operating procedures, because sometimes you just can't fit the model, or fit the mold with what the standard operating procedure says. We want to make sure sites we work with feel heard and supported, which obviously in turn helps improve performance and compliance from the site. So it does go a long way. I've also been very impressed with the way our teams lean into innovation in trial design and delivery, whether it's adaptive protocols, decentralized trial elements, or just flexible scheduling to reduce the patient burden. We're not afraid to challenge traditional models while maintaining data integrity and enhancing the overall patient experience. I've seen many times actually instances where we've implemented hybrid approaches in studies with intensive schedule of assessments just by mapping out what can realistically be done in a decentralized design without compromising that safety and data integrity. And lastly, I think another key differentiator for us is our cross functionality. A lot of other CROs operate in silos, working in parallel, but never really in sync. But here at CTI, we have a true culture of collaboration. We bring teams in early to ensure alignment. It helps us move faster. We've caught issues sooner, and we maintain a higher quality study during the entire life cycle. So what really sets us apart isn't just what we do, it's really how we do it. We bring therapeutic area specific expertise, tailored site and patient strategies along with a really forward-thinking mindset to support all of our trials.
You talked innovation there for a second. And I want to roll back to that. What trends and innovations do you see coming in hematology research that you're most excited about?
I am most excited about a couple of things. First would be the cell and gene therapies because they have a curative intent rather than just control over the disease. And that is really important for this patient population. It really raises the stakes for trial design, safety, long term follow up, and the overall supply chain as well. For project managers, this is an opportunity so big, but the operational readiness is going to be a high benchmark to meet. And that's really going to be needed to carry out a trial like this. Precision medicine is also another key area I'm excited about because therapies can be more accurately targeted, but it also means trials have to have the right biomarkers built in from the start. So this means ensuring labs are qualified and that the sample collection and the whole shipping process is really robust. I just think we're at an overall exciting time in hematology research, and it has the potential to dramatically improve patient outcomes and change the overall paradigm for patients who suffer from hematologic diseases.
In your experience, what are the key factors that contribute to a successful hematology trial from start to finish?
That really is a critical question because hematology trials come with their own set of challenges, and the success of them really depends on getting multiple things right from day one. I would say there are five main pillars. The first for any trial is smart planning and feasibility. Good planning includes flexible timelines, anticipating potential protocol amendments, and having early engagement with regulatory agencies, especially with some of these advanced therapies. The second would be site and patient engagement. In any clinical research, your site relationships are everything, and I cannot stress that enough. Whether you're working with high volume academic centers, centers of excellence, or independent sites and site networks, if you don't engage them properly with clear communication, real time support, and respect for their current workload, they'll deprioritize your study. And that's not something we want. We start off with our sites on the right foot from day one. On the patient side, you need to think long term, especially if there are long term follow ups built into the trial, or if the regulatory agencies are requesting this be added into the trial. That means keeping patients informed, minimizing their burden, and offering concierge services like transportation, home health, any sort of engagement tool that they can use from home. This is really going to go a long way with maintaining recruitment and retention on your trial. Operational excellence is where you can make or break a trial. This means tight coordination across all vendors, efficient site selection, startup, and proactive risk mitigation from your project management team. The data and quality oversight is another key factor that I can't stress enough. The EDC selected should be intuitive and tailored specifically to the protocol. Your team should be resolving queries fast. Source document verification should be personalized to fit the study needs. And most importantly, any protocol deviation really should be swiftly addressed. Otherwise, it could snowball, and that will compromise the overall data integrity of the trial. And the fifth main pillar, cross functional collaboration, is the glue that holds us together. When we're all aligned early with shared goals in mind, we create a culture where people can speak openly. And this really helps to solve challenges proactively rather than reactively.
All right, wrapping things up here, what advice would you give to sponsors or teams looking to enter the hematology space for the very first time?
I would say that hematology is an incredibly rewarding space, but it's also different from many other therapeutic areas. My advice would center around a few areas of guidance. First, don't underestimate the complexity and plan accordingly. Build a cross functional plan early and ensure you have the right teams in place. The more proactive you are, the more prepared you will be for the inevitable challenge that every clinical trial faces. Secondly, choose your sites carefully and treat them as partners. Hematology research is often very concentrated and with very experienced academic or specialized centers. This means that they are incredibly busy. So please take the time to build the relationship with them, and you will gain a better buy in to your trial and overall more trial support. The third, I would say, be realistic when it comes to recruitment and patient experience. Recruitment can take time unless you take the time to understand where your specific target patients are concentrated. It's going to be important for you to engage with the patient advocacy groups and take the time to map out what referrals will look like for your trial. The more patient friendly your protocol is, the higher the compliance will be from the patients and the sites. Lastly, I would say lean into your experienced partners like CTI and stay flexible. Please don't try to reinvent the wheel if you don't have to. Hematology can move very fast, and the regulatory guidelines are evolving. So engaging with the right partner can save you both time and a lot of money in the long run.
Courtney, thank you so much for joining us today and everything that you do to help continue to move medicine forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much to Courtney Cordaro for joining us today and sharing her expertise in hematology clinical research. Her insights on planning, collaboration, and patient-centered approaches are invaluable for anyone entering this space. Courtney, we appreciate your dedication to moving medicine forward. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Visit ctifacts.com to learn more about how we can help with your clinical trial. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep moving medicine forward.